Give me a D and a G. It's the Dawg and Gus Show. It's the Dawg and Gus Show.
Welcome to the Dawg and Gus Show.
Now on Be Kind Radio.
What we got going on tonight, mister?
Well, we're speaking with a wonderful artist named Dee Hernandez. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Most excellent.
Yeah.
Having me.
Tell us a bit of your story. Like, how does a young girl from Havana end up building a music career here in Canada?
Well, that's an interesting story. It's very long, but I'd like to summarize it a bit. So as a young girl, I sang in communities, small communities around my area. I'm from the rural side of Havana, so I'm not right from the city. And the word got out that this little girl could sing, and the type of music that I was singing was quite powerful for a young girl to be doing it. Eventually sang for a few government officials, got to sing for Fidel Castro at the time. And then I was placed into this program where I would export the music of Cuba to other countries. And I did that. I went to Mexico, and then I came to Canada a couple of times. And when I came to Canada the second time, I decided that I needed more than what I had and became basically a refugee of Canada. And that's really how the story, in a short version, the story started for me. I used to come with a group of young musicians. We were all between the ages, I think at the time I was 14 the first time I came. So between the ages of 14 and 18 years old and 17 years old. And we will tour the East Coast of Canada and primarily for jazz festivals. And then I just fell in love with the atmosphere in Atlantic Canada, and that's where my story started, right here.
Nice.
Cool. What role did music play in your childhood growing up in Cuba?
You know, for me, music, and I think it's very common for a lot of musicians, but for me, it started as a place to refuge myself. I had a young mother, and I had grandparents who basically were my caregivers, and people just didn't have time. Everybody is in survival mode, trying to feed their families. As you know, Cuba is not in the best conditions right now, but it has been like that for a long time. And so music was always the hope for me. So singing in the sad times and the days that I wasn't sure what I was going to get in my belly, what music was basically the food. But also music was the happiest moments of my life. In my family, nobody really had a musical education, but everybody somehow knew how to sing. So my first musical education was at home. We would gather together. We used to have blackouts then as well. The 90s were just very similar to what is happening in Cuba right now. And my family would just get together, and we would just basically have a concert in the whole building. I used to live in a building. The whole building would just show up to my living room, and we just gather and sing. So music, again, has been basically medicine my whole entire life. And even when I came to Canada, my first goal was to be able to communicate, because I didn't speak the language, neither French or English. And I wanted to finally have some type of communication with somebody as quick as possible in a way that people could understand me. And through music, I learned English. So I used to sit down with a dictionary. At the time, we didn't have phones or tablets, or I know I didn't have even a computer. And I would try to write songs just using the dictionary. So music has really played, is basically has been my entire life in every phase of my life.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, it goes to my next question, which is like, you made a really courageous decision at 16 to stay in Canada. Like, when you look back, how did that sort of shape who you are today?
It helped me discover who I am. You know, going back to my childhood, I always felt kind of out of place. I think a lot of artists, no matter what, I just felt like it was weird. It was this person had all these things happening in my mind, and everything was musical. And, you know, I would sit outside and I would just look up the stars. And because at the time, my home was a very communist home, so we didn't have any type of spirituality was allowed. So for me, talking to the stars was still no spirituality. So I would talk to the stars, and I would tell the stars exactly what I longed for, what I wanted to do with my life. I always wanted to sing in places that didn't look and sounded like the place I grew up in. I don't know why was that reason. I still up to today, I don't know what the reason it was, but I always felt that I needed to sing, not just for myself, but for others. So when I came to Canada and I gave myself the opportunity to create music. It changed everything about how I view the world and how I even viewed myself. Because when I first started creating music, when I first started singing music, I used to sing acoustic music. It was a guitar player and it was just me. Then that transformed into singing traditional Cuban music. But I always had this deep connection with R&B and jazz because were the music that my grandmother used to play back home, even though I didn't understand a word that it was being said, I still had that connection. So being here in Canada, then I was able to explore physically what I liked, and there's a huge jazz scene in Cuba with probably I dare to say probably the most amazing musicians in the world. But because of my age and how far I was from these places where I could experience that music, I felt like I really didn't get the opportunity to experience it. So coming to Canada at a young age, I was just so open to listen to anything and everything. And I moved here to Atlantic, Canada, and then I moved to Toronto. And in Toronto, basically that's where I did my musical co-op. I got to listen to music from countries that I didn't even know it existed in the map. I also got to work with monster musicians that perhaps I would have never had the opportunity to do it back home just because of the location where I live. So it really changed everything of who I am, honestly, who I thought I was. I think we all do it. I mean, at 13, 14 years old, who knows really who they are, but some people do have the gift of knowing exactly what they wanted to do. So being here, it really allowed me to make the sounds that I make now as basically the exposure of different cultures, the exposure of the world music of jazz. And that's a long answer, but it has shaped everything, especially even in my personal life.
How would you describe Dee Hernandez as someone hearing your name for the very first time?
I'm so many things, but I am somebody who believes that her music has something magical. When I open my mouth, I think I can literally heal people. Maybe not like, a serious sickness, like go call your doctor, but for the day, if your day was horrible, I think Dee Hernandez can actually take all that stuff away. So I'm a musical healer.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, thank
Yep.
you.
Music does heal.
It's got
It
healing
does.
properties for sure. Yeah,
It's a therapy.
Yeah.
it can take
Yeah.
a bad day and make it good.
It's true.
It
It's
really
true.
does. And I
Mhm.
mean, no, there's some music, and I hate to even say it, but there's some music that also makes me extremely angry. It gets the anger out of me that I try to I try to be this light all the time, but anger is also a feeling. And there's some music that when I listen to it, it unleashes the anger that I've been compacting inside of me. So yeah, it's not just, it makes my music, I believe it makes you feel good. I not yet created anything that makes people angry, but even the music that makes you feel angry is healing.
It's true. Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
What were the biggest challenges adapting to life in Canada?
The language was the first thing. And somehow, to be honest, sometimes it still is. Because now I feel like I should have learned French. I moved into a community where French is now. During COVID, I moved from an Anglophone area to a Francophone area, and I still don't know how to speak French. So I wish I would have had that opportunity. The language was one thing. The other thing was that it was a battle, like an emotional battle for me, because I wanted to be here. Nobody forced me to take that step, but I missed home. And for the longest time, I just wonder, like, what do you miss? Like, do you miss your family? Do you miss just the surroundings because it makes you feel comfortable? You know what it looks like, what it smells like, and it's predictable. But at the same time, I loved being here, and I have a very adventurous soul that I love experiencing new things. And the second, I'm a mother, I'm a wife now, and sometimes doing those things, you kind of don't get to experience all the things that you thought you wanted to experience. Because everything comes in little sections, but I missed the routines sometimes. But then I loved not knowing what tomorrow was going to bring, and I loved the fact that I was able to speak the language of the music that I used to listen to. So that was pretty cool. But at the same time, I was exposed to people who looked like me, who sounded somewhat like me because there were people from Latin America as well. So it was pretty cool. But at the same time, it was a battle constantly of longing for home but not wanting to be there. And to you kind of just like rack up your telephone because you're calling your parents almost every day. And so then they're like, okay, you're not calling anymore because as a teenager, you forget what time it is. And then you're not sending letters as often. And it's not because you don't want to, it's because you are experiencing everything so quickly that you really almost don't even realize that the day has gone because there's so many things happening at once. That was really the toughest part where, I missed 20 years of not seeing my family. I spent 20 years without seeing my mother. And so then seeing her again was like meeting a brand new person again and her not even knowing who I am. So,
Wow. Yeah,
yeah, that was quite difficult.
I bet.
And you didn't even mention the weather.
It's true.
You know what? And I still hate the weather. I'm so sorry.
That's fair.
No,
And I live in a place where we ski, we do all of those things because I live in northern New Brunswick. So I live north as you can go in my province. I moved to the coldest place in New Brunswick.
Yeah.
And I just don't leave my house unless I have to eat or take, or go for shows like, what I did a tour in the mid of February for some reason. But winter is winter at the end of things.
Mhm.
And
It's true.
I remember the first time I saw the sun out while there was snow in my brain. This is not knowing, thinking that you know so much, but you don't know anything. I said, well, the sun is out. It has to be hot out. There was snow outside. So I just put shorts on and it's just like a little
Oh, yeah.
sweater. And oh my dear Lord, it was so cold, right?
Yep.
In my head,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
going to walk over of the snow. That's, experiences that sometimes I don't even want to talk about it because I sound really dumb. But I did things thinking that it was okay. I dressed in pleather, and minus 30 weather to go to a party and just walked thinking that I was going to be okay and almost died. So,
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It's
it's a lear-
cold. And you're more north than we are, so that's cold.
yeah, and that's a learning curve
cold.
right there, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes. So always take layers.
Yeah. We were born here, so we kind of like it's in our DNA
Yeah.
Yes.
to make sure
Yes.
that you layer up because you
Yeah.
can always take a layer off. It doesn't really matter,
You say that though, but around here you see people in their shorts and
Mhm.
minus 25 outside and it's just like shorts, a little sweater. I'm like, well, there you go. And I just think of hot cocoa and look at them through the window and be that weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate to tell you, I'm one of those guys.
Yeah, he is actually. Yeah.
I'm one of those guys.
Something told me that you would be. I don't know why. The way that
And
you talked about
I
the
like the
weather.
sun.
He loves
I
the
like
sun.
outside during the summer. I'm outside pretty much the whole
Yep.
summer.
Listen, today
Yeah.
I had to be outside for the recesses, and I'm dying. It's like I don't,
Yes, you're not hanging out. You're not hanging out. You're not.
yes. Well, yeah. So anyway, but do you ever feel like you're carrying two worlds with you every time you step on stage?
Constantly. I choose to sing songs in English and I choose to sing songs in Spanish. And it's the same accent all the time. It doesn't go away like Jennifer Lopez. It's all the time. And have audiences from everywhere. I have the Latin American audience and then audiences from, every country that I can imagine. And often whenever I'm going to do a show and you need to talk to a publicist and they're like, okay, which community should we contact that you represent? Right. And it was like every community, right?
Yeah.
But the expectation usually is to say, well, the Latin American community, or the Cuban community. But I've been in Canada with multiple communities for most of my life. And the music that I make, it literally creates a bridge between communities. That's the whole point of my music. So yeah, sometimes I feel like I have to like I'm being forced to kind of almost like pick communities or to pick what side I'm in. And I think I'm done a pretty good job of being okay of who I am and what I represent and who I make music for. But yes, at times it does feel like I'm wearing a bag that I don't want to carry a lot of times.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and even in when you're sending music to different radio stations and things like that, it often that's when that comes up. It often okay, what box should I click or what festivals should I play just based on the kind of music I create, right? And I remember I did a conference, I did a showcase in Toronto just last November, and somebody said to me, it's like, you do a really good job to put yourself in rooms that a lot of times doesn't seem like you fit in. And that made me feel really good because that means that, there's not this separation that a lot of people like to bring up for some reason is not even there. That I don't see it. I just make music and whoever likes to like it, they will, regardless of what community they're from and what, country they're from or, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And that's what it is.
Yeah.
Very
That's good.
simple.
Yeah. So what does success mean to you now compared to when you first arrived?
When I first arrived, for me, success was that I was able to leave my country doing what I love to do. And it was based on the hard work that I put in and how much I dreamed. I think the more I dream, the more I receive. I see myself as almost like a projector. So whatever I put in here, it will come in my reality. But now, let me go back. At some point of my life, I wasn't sure what success is supposed to look like. It's almost I got wrapped up in this things that TV showed me and what the music industry tends to show at people what success looks like because I wasn't seeing myself performing as much. And, at some point I felt like my music wasn't for everybody. So again, that's the thoughts that I was putting in my head. And then therefore nothing was moving forward. For me now, success is believing that everything I want to do is very much can be reality. I also don't try to make music for everybody. I make music for me first because I need to heal myself first in order to heal everybody else. And I make music because it makes me happy. And some people write books. I write music as a part of my journal and my life story. And most of my songs are very much of personal experiences. So success for me now is being very, very, very comfortable with what I do and talking to people like you who are willing to chat with me if you don't know me and playing for audiences all around the East Coast and in Toronto and other places and people who accept me for the music that I want to create. That to me is success. I have a beautiful home. I have children. I have a husband. I have a roof over my head. I can eat. I could have been homeless at 16 years old, and I'm not. So my life, I'm extremely successful.
I'd say so.
Yeah. Those are important. Those are important things more than money for sure.
Amen.
With the songwriting, is it
Mhm.
hard to go from Spanish to English with your songs?
At the beginning, some of the songs that I wrote, like I told you, I used the dictionary. Most of
Mhm.
the songs I already have been released. At the beginning, it was almost like a translation thing. And then I remember the day that I had my first dream in English. So then the songs just came because, as I said, most of my songs are based on experiences that I either lived or seen other people live. They came in the language that I experienced those experiences, that I seen those experiences. So now for this album that is coming out in September and the singles that are coming out right now, every single one of those songs are coming out based on the experience. So if the experience just happened to be predominantly experience with a Spanish speaking surrounding, then the song will be in Spanish. So now it's not so much of the translation, it's just what comes out natural based on the song. So whatever the song wants to come through and channel itself through me, it's the language that will come out. And hopefully someday there will be other languages that would like to come out through me.
Actually, she's going to learn French.
Yeah, she is.
Mhm.
I'm working on it.
Mhm.
Nouveau
Yep.
Brunswick. Tell us about the latest releases and the stories behind them.
So the first single that came out in April 17 was called Odumiles Somos Más, We Are More. My mother went through cancer from 2023 and she's in remission now. She's good. And during that time, I was extremely busy coming out with my first EP and I was traveling a lot. I was doing a lot of touring in the province and my mother doesn't speak English or French. So for all of her appointments and even her operation and all that, I had to be present. And I knew Odumile was really just getting in touch with the light within me because I knew it was important for me to be the light of my mother and the light for my family because I just didn't want to be sad. And because again, like I told you, anything that I think will come to my reality. So I wanted to be very careful of my thoughts and my emotions in order for my mother to be okay. So Odumile is really it's an extremely deep spiritual song that talks about the divine protection that what's within us that we don't even see, but we are constantly protected everywhere we go, either through our ancestors, through, some people religion, some people spirituality in my case. And that was a way for me to honor my ancestors in order basically asking for my mother to be okay. And it worked, and my mother's good. And now I was married. It's the first time I actually said this to anybody, but I got married. My first wedding, I was 18 years old, and I was extremely young. And I don't recommend this for any young woman or man. It's a terrible thing. You wait until you know who you are and that you're happy and content. But I did that, and I did that. And during that time, I had experiences that I've never experienced before. And the new single is called Used. And at some point of my life, I felt like I was like a tool, like I was being used emotionally, and I had to write about it. So again, that's another experience that I had in my life. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, women or men, who at some point, and it doesn't have to be necessarily in a romantic relationship, but at some point you feel like you're lacking the respect that you deserve because you just don't respect yourself first, or you forget how to love yourself first in order for the people to understand how to treat you. And there was at a point of my life where I finally opened my eyes and I noticed that I was not living up to my full potential, and that the plans that I had for myself when I came to Canada was being stopped because I allowed other people to take control over my life. And the day that I realized and I noticed that this was happening was the day that I actually wrote the song. The day that I noticed that, okay, this needs to stop. Now I know what you're doing. I recognize what you're doing. I know what I did because it takes two to tango, and nobody forced me to be in any type of situation. But that's what the song is all about. It's just recognizing yourself and loving yourself and understanding that emotional control is a thing. And sometimes people don't even notice that they're doing it. But it's a beautiful thing when you realize where you put yourself in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, thank you for your honesty there.
Yeah,
And
it's
I'm
for
glad your
sure.
mom's
Of
okay.
course.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah,
Do you think?
she's doing great.
Yeah,
Awesome.
excellent. Say hi to her for us.
Yeah.
Will do.
Do you think that song represents who Dee Hernandez is today, or is there another song?
Absolutely. I think the whole album does because as you'll see the song progressing, there is other stories that will come to light. But yes, definitely I'm resilient. Like I'm resilient. Like I'm powerful. I am vulnerable. I am adventurous. As I said, I'm a dreamer, and I'm such a dreamer. And like I sometimes I sit there and I literally almost imagine what my life will be tomorrow. And I did that when I was younger. And honestly, I know it sounds really cliche, but it looked exactly like this. So, to be able to, some people talk to me and I tell them about the experiences now that they know these right now. They're like, geez, I just don't see how these things would happen to you or would have happened for you because nothing happens to me for me. It happened to you or for you during that time because, you're just so strong. And so I said, well, life takes you through journeys for you to learn. Again, some people come with a lot of lessons already learned, but clearly I didn't. So, and I needed context. I needed music to be right. So I, I definitely am what this album it is, and it's called Desesha, which it means I'm done. It's shedding all the old skin, and at the end of the album, you'll hear who I am today. So it's basically a journey of my life up into last month, the whole album.
I love that. She's like a manifester like me.
Yes, he certainly
Yes.
is.
Mhm.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with being a dreamer. I love that. What do you hope listeners feel when they're listening to your music?
Authenticity. I mean, there's no lies. I'm not trying anything. Everything that comes out comes out. It's in the recording as I heard it. And I hope that even on the sad songs you can feel the joy because I don't sing sad songs for people to sit down and cry. Like I literally dance through used. Like I dance, that's joyful for me because I got myself in a situation, I got myself out. Right. So I hope that they can hear the joy. I hope they can hear the growth. I hope they can get to know me. Really.
Right.
It's that simple. Some people do write music with a purpose of very script, like there's a purpose, a technical aspect. And yes, those things are available to me because I like to make great music. And I consider myself like as somebody who wants to make great music. But at the same time, I don't want to create great music where it becomes very technical. And then what music's supposed to be like, which is feel and soul, gets lost in that. Which often you hear like people like, well, I don't listen to jazz because I can't understand it. It's like, well, this music that I make, it does have jazz influences. It does have world music influences. It has soul. It has R&B. It has all of those things. It has Cuban music, but above all, it has feeling and it has a way to connect with people. And that's all I want to do. It's just continue having a connection with somebody every time they hear my music.
It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah. So you've received recognition from Music New Brunswick and the ECMAs. What have those moments meant to you?
When I first moved to New Brunswick, I wanted to have, so I moved to New Brunswick and I moved to Toronto. And I lived in Toronto for a couple of years and life brought me back to New Brunswick. And then I said, okay, I'm going to do Canadian Idol. So I did Canadian Idol and I sang only jazz and soul. And that was pretty cool. And then I said, I'm going to put a project together, this exact project. And it was denied. I needed the money. I applied for Music New Brunswick funds. It was denied. I think it was crazy because the project sounded great, but it is what it is. And then one day after COVID, I said I'm going to put a song out. I'm somebody who likes sometimes I say all these things, but sometimes I overthink what I want to release, especially at the beginning, because I want it to be so good. And COVID happened, and then I realized how lucky I am to breathe and have a place. So I got myself cheap equipment. I had no money to pay no musician, and I just recorded something right here. This is literally my little space room, and I put it out, and I noticed that people really liked it. And something told me to release that specific EP that I recorded back in 2000. And I sent it to who my producer, actually, I sent it, my producer sent it to somebody. And then somebody's like, oh my gosh, this is great. Let's put in an application. And we got the funding for music that recorded in 2000, the exact same project.
Wow.
And I think it was just all about a matter of timing, right? Like it really is. Sometimes we expect to manifest the things tomorrow, right? But everything takes time. And in this world right here. And I am glad that it took this time. Oh, it took its time because I look back and I wasn't ready. I thought I was, but now I look at it, I was like, I really wasn't ready. What if, the project would have just got exploded and then what? I don't think I had the tools to continue moving forward and to continue growing the way that my music and my career has grown in the past 3 years, right? I really don't think I had the tools then. So to be able to get recognized by an association like the Music New Brunswick, who once really did not see the value of my music, or I thought they didn't see the value of the music at the time, I think it shows the growth as well of the music in Atlantic Canada and what Atlantic Canada sound is. Because the longest time everybody thinks about Atlantic Canada as fiddles, which very much is, because it is engraved, it's part of the culture. But that's not the only thing available in Atlantic Canada anymore. There's people like me who has been creating music, and just like me, there's many who don't even know still what Music New Brunswick is. And I personally have taken upon myself to always reach out to immigrant artists to let them know what Music New Brunswick is so they can go ahead and take the advantages that I did, like went to conferences and learned about the business in order for me to not need as many people, right? Be able to be my own manager, my own promoter, and all those things. So I've learned a lot through Music New Brunswick. So it's pretty cool that they have recognized me, but not so much for me, just because there's other people older than me creating music, and it would be great that they would have the same opportunities as I have now. And when it comes to the East Coast Music Awards, I mean, I remember watching the East Coast Awards when they were televised in the whole country, and now it's only televised through Rogers, and it was really nice. I remember watching and said, okay, one day I'm going to be one of those people because I will be representing the music of the East Coast, and I did. And I did that more than once, even this year. So I did it for the past 3 years. So it's extraordinary, but it really speaks about the belief that I have for myself, right? And
Yeah.
also the work that myself and those that believe in my music, the musicians and people who have helped me along the way, it really shows their work, really, more than anything, because I do deserve to be recognized because make great music and I work really hard for people to hear it, and I live here. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
The trifecta. The
Yes,
trifecta.
yes,
yes,
yes, sir.
So what performance stands out as the defining moment in your career so far?
Well, I try to avoid that conversation often because it's somehow always becomes political. But I mean, I've been working towards music for a long time. I was just like 7 years old singing at the rooftop of a building with a school, and I was singing a cappella at 7 o'clock in the morning for an entire school. And then that continued being to another school, and that continued to another school until somehow I ended up singing for the International Festival of Medicine in Cuba. And then somebody saw me and they said, okay, we need this little girl going to a music school. And everything took effect from there. I think that the day I was able to sing at that event changed my whole entire life. You know, like I was a kid who ate once a day because that's what was available at home. And as I said, the 90s were horrible in Cuba. And, you know, that gave me the chance to eat more than once a day. And that to me was important. You know, I was the kid who had to ask neighbors to share their clothing with me so I can go to a show. And now I have two closets full of clothing for my wardrobe, right? Thanks to that day. And it's not so much about who the person I sang for is the people older than him, the older people that were there changed my whole entire life. So being able to go to a music school for a short period of time, because then I moved here and I didn't continue in musical education the way I wanted it, that really gave me the wings to fly, and I am eternally grateful for that moment.
Amazing. I love that.
yeah. It's been quite the journey for you. Who have been your biggest supporters and mentors along the way?
Well, there has been so many. And it's funny because they have come in and out of my life because I've moved so many times. But right now, there is two people in my band that I still consider them friends and also mentors, Joel Miller and John Bailey. Joel Miller is a terrific saxophonist who is also a Juno winner, and his mind is amazing, just like John's, who is the musical director on this. I had a really good friendship for 20 years with the producer of this album, Mark Goslin, who has never gave up on me. And even the days that I didn't want to create music anymore because the music industry really left a very in my mouth at some point. He was the one who was like, okay, yeah, but you got a gift. You gotta use that. I have had so many people in my life. I had my husband is a great supporter. You know, when I first met him and he heard me sing, he's like, and why don't you do this for a living, right? But you know, life does funny things, and you have to just take care of those funny things at that time. And at that time, music was not a priority. My mother, now that she's here, um, I mean, she helps me. Clothing for me is a big deal. So the person that helps me with my clothing is my mom, and she'll take 3 days with me, and I will drive her crazy, but she'll help me out with that. I mean, I have so many people, and I'm eternally grateful. Even the musicians from the beginning that are no longer playing with me right now, you know, they believed in what I did. They wanted to be part of it, and that means a lot. You know, when I first came to Canada, I decided to stay in St. John. I had no family, and I created an entire group of people who loved me just as if I was their family. So, I mean, I had many people in my life. I had Alexi Baró, who's an amazing trumpet player. He was a Juno nominated this year for Best Jazz. I think the Best Jazz album with his big band. When I moved to Toronto, I was just 17 years old, and he introduced me to the greatest musicians that were playing in the industry in Toronto. And, you know, I used to go to rehearsals and to get exposed to Divine Brown, which is an amazing singer as well. So that was, that on itself to me, I'm eternally grateful for those things. So yeah, I have many people to thank, and I would need to have the list and write it down. But I hope they know who they are.
I'm sure they do. Sure they do.
Yeah.
We like to do a little rapid fire. So a couple quick questions, so dream collaboration for you.
Oh my gosh. Well, Esperanza Spalding.
Ooh, that's a good one. I love
I
her
just got
stuff.
chills.
Yeah, I love her.
got
I love
chills.
her stuff.
Nice talk.
Me too.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yes.
Okay, favorite Cuban artist?
Well, Celia Cruz has always been my favorite. But living right now, Daimea Rosena. She's fantastic. And she actually lived in Toronto for a little bit. And then she moved to Puerto Rico. And now she's just doing amazing things. But I think she is fantastic.
Nice. Favorite jazz artist?
Alive? Well, Ella Fitzgerald is my favorite vocalist. And I know my mom is like, you should never have a favorite vocalist. Well, I do. But right now, Samara Joy is fantastic. She's just so good. She's really, really good. Samara Joy is great. Tonina is great. There's way too many.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to keep those two.
All right.
Good choice.
Yeah.
One album everyone should hear.
Well, one album?
Yeah, just pick one. I know we could pick
No,
like 50, but.
Man, I forgot the Jaco Pastorius one, but the Buena Vista Social Club.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of Canadians can
Chan.
actually say yes, exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. I think everybody should hear that.
No, but I
Although
think-
they made music before
Yeah.
that, like
Yes.
such a great music before that. But yes, definitely.
The
Yeah,
Chan Chan's
but
really when it comes to it.
Jaco Pastoria too, though. It's like
That is
Beautiful
so good.
stuff.
I just forgot the name of the album, but I never heard of Jaco until one of the bass players that I work with, Jonathan Good, who's also a lawyer, who's also my lawyer. Hey, he introduced me because a lot of my music, the way that I write, I start with the bass line first.
mm-hmm.
And he said, you need to listen to this album, and he gave me the record, and it's just changed my whole entire life.
Love that.
That was
Mhm.
crazy. Oh
Coffee or tea?
my gosh, coffee.
Mm-hmm.
She's
Nice and
Cuban.
strong
She's
with a
Cuban.
lot of
Yeah, what a silly question to ask.
Nice and strong with a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to feel silly asking the next
Nobody
one.
makes a good Cubano here, and I love a Cubano coffee. You know,
Yeah,
like,
You know-
we got to find a place who does.
yeah. Do you make a good one, D? I'm sure you do.
Yes, in my
Okay,
house I
so
do. I have the
Mikasa,
little
yeah,
cafecito
so you
and-
got-
The next time you're in New Brunswick, look her up.
Yeah, northern New
down,
Brunswick.
yeah,
I'll come in the
I'll keep-
winter.
Yeah, middle of winter.
Yeah.
T-shirt.
Let's
In
go
t-shirts and a
skiing.
short.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Beach or city?
Oh, come on now.
I know. That's why I
Listen,
felt silly asking.
I moved from a city to a very small town. The beach, if I actually went outside right now, you could hear the water. I moved here because of the ocean. It was the only way I could afford it if I went to a small town. So I am all about the beach, and the river is just like a 10-minute drive. So I'm all about the ocean and in the middle of nowhere, the woods.
I have a sidebar on that because
Certainly.
my favorite place to be is to just be sitting and watching water quietly with nothing else happening. Is that something that you get? Do you get
Yes.
some inspiration from that?
I do very much so.
Yeah.
And even if the days that I don't feel comfortable in my own body, if that makes sense, on my own skin, because we are human. I just have to go to any type of body of water. We have a beautiful place here. Is a beautiful river, and in April it flows so beautifully. I love going there in April, and my daily walk is always by the ocean,
Makes sense.
and I
would
would sit
too.
there for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I get a lot of clarity, and I think we forget how powerful Mother Nature can be. There's a lot of things that will go away if we just took 10 minutes by ourselves by any type of nature.
In
No.
in Nordic countries, they have like there's a thing. Everybody for an hour at lunchtime, you have your lunch, and then you have a 45-minute nature walk.
Yeah.
And it's part of the
Nice.
it's part of the thing. Yeah.
I think Mother Nature's been showing us lately how strong she can be.
She's
Mm.
powerful. She's
Don't-
a powerful lady.
Yep. Respect.
Yep.
It's you.
It's you.
No, I said beach or city.
No, I did.
Did you?
Yes, because I said I'm going to feel silly asking this
Oh,
question.
Yes,
you're
you
right.
did. You did.
Favorite place in Canada.
Favorite place? I don't have one because Canada is beautiful, and every single place I have been have shown me something beautifully, right? Like I loved going to Toronto and eat all the food from all around the world. Like
Yeah.
I love that. Ottawa was awesome when I went. Was the same type of atmosphere, but at the same time felt kind of country too. So I had the best of both worlds. I
Yeah.
like that very much. Maybe that would be the next city for me.
We think so.
Wait, come on.
Yeah.
I'll show you all the water sources here.
Please.
And you guys can go find a good Cubano.
Oh, we got to find that Cubano.
There you go.
I haven't found a good one. I haven't found a good Cubano.
There you go. So
It's so good,
Set
dog.
me up.
So good.
Done.
So much sugar. It's like so much sugar in there. It's good.
Oh,
I-
it's like, God, I'm getting chills. It's like an experience right now. And I don't know, like even when I moved to St. John, when I first moved to St. John, which was the first city I lived in, I hated it. And not I hate living in it. When I came, I was like so beautiful, but I didn't like the fact that they didn't let 16 years old people, kids, go into bars to listen to music, right? So it was a cultural thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair.
I didn't
All
want to
right,
drink.
fair.
I just wanted to hear the music. So, but I
No.
mean, Halifax is beautiful. I love where I live. I really do. I love Northern New Brunswick. I love how quiet it is and how it makes me feel. And whenever I go for touring and performing, I always have to travel because it's at least 4 hours away for a major city for me. And the second I'm in the up north, the decompression starts. Like I literally feel lighter and I feel like I can breathe again. And I love going to the city and performing, doing those things and being social. But I really, really value my alone time and less people to be able to be
Mhm.
creative and be mentally stable
Hear that?
somewhat.
I like that.
One thing always on your backstage rider.
Wine
There you
and green tea.
go.
Those two things, they have to be there. A little bit of wine and green tea.
Interesting combination.
Yeah,
I like
for
that.
sure.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. Most memorable audience reaction.
But that's not fair because I don't have one. Anytime I have performed anywhere, it's been honestly beautiful every single time. The only thing I can say that the most recent one I had was at Windsor, Nova Scotia at a theater. And it was the first time me performing the entire album in front of people, even though it's not out yet. And I let them know that I was going to play exactly how it's on the vinyl. And it was honestly very, very special to do that. But I think just because I was doing something like this, it was it's like me presenting like the Lion King, right? Here's my baby.
Mhm.
And everybody was like, yay, right? So it was more like what I received in return. But anytime I have performed, honestly, the audience it's been good.
Nice.
And each time has been special.
One word that describes Dee Hernandez in 2026.
Awake.
Yeah,
Very good. Yes.
because of the Cubano.
Cubano will wake you right up, dog.
Yeah. He keeps referencing that because I'm not a coffee drinker.
He isn't, but
No.
I'd
I'm
get
a
you a
tea
Cubano.
drinker too, though.
Yeah, so am I.
I'm a
Yeah.
tea drinker. Like I drink mint tea. I actually have mint growing in my house for that purposely. So it's
Okay.
because if I had to, if it didn't dry my vocal cords, I would drink a coffee before I sang. That is not
Yeah.
recommended.
Yeah,
Mhm.
fair. We ask everybody this question since the beginning. There's 2 decades of music, the 80s or the 90s. Which one is for you?
The 90s,
All right.
100%.
Well, she's the same age as me, so I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It certainly does.
Dog's 80s, I'm 90s. So
And
just,
that would make sense, right?
yeah.
Like most of the music I listened was either very old, so 50s. 50s and the 60s were great
Mhm.
for music, not for our people, but great. And
Mhm.
then the 90s was like the very cool R&B with like that was still good. It had a lot of jazz elements and I mean there's still people making that now, but unfortunately it's not what we are hearing in the radio.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's why.
Yeah.
The 80s
Oh,
I felt
that's
like was a
fair.
lot of synth. Was a
Yeah,
lot of synth.
it was there's a lot of synth. You're
There's a
absolutely
lot
right.
of
Yeah.
synth, which is
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
cool too.
Off topic. Well, it is topical. It is topical.
Just ask the question.
So
I'm
we
afraid.
talk about, I want to just talk about the 90s. My favorite group was A Tribe Called Quest. Okay. And I
Oh,
don't
of
know if
course.
you know who they are, but they used
Of
a lot of
course.
a lot of jazz
Yes.
in their samples. So I was just thinking, what do you think of jazz sampling by
Fugees.
Oh
Fugees.
man. Yeah, and such a short period. It's funny that you say that because I always say the best female hip hop artist is Lauryn Hill. And I always say it
100%.
because not only was she an amazing singer, which she was, as we saw in the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, but in the Fugees, like she was just like,
She was so
remember the
versatile.
strumming like the start of the
Mhm.
Fuji
Yeah.
La, like she's just incredible. So I loved her so much.
The funniest part of this is that I listened to so much Fugees not knowing what they were saying. And when I listened to hip hop, I would go always to Tupac because it felt very much like a spoken word. Didn't know what they were saying either.
It's
Right.
poetry.
So that's what I mean. Like how music is the language. Like the language, of course, it's nice to understand what is being said. But take it from me, like I didn't understand a word until I came to Canada and learned English. And now I go back to the records I used to listen to. And I'm like, oh, that's what they were saying. Right. but
It's
there
true,
was
though.
something. There was something within the music. There's a vibration. There is something within the music that got to me,
Oh yeah,
and
like
that's what inspired me to make music regardless of the language.
Now, that's being said, did that change your mind about certain songs that you listen to because you didn't understand it, but now you do?
No.
No, there's still the love.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, I still
it's like
it.
us. Like if we were to listen to a Spanish song
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful, but we really don't understand what they're saying.
No.
Right? So
yeah,
but it's
yeah.
still it
You might-
grew. It's a groove. It's like
might
the way
catch
it
you.
makes you
You
feel.
might catch the occasional word that go,
I know
but
that.
yeah, no, it's agreed. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. La cuenta.
or cerveza. I got
Yeah,
that one.
yeah, I got every time I went there. Yeah, la cuenta, por favor.
Sure, you know.
I know how to pay the bill.
Yes.
So what's next for Dee Hernandez?
Well, I have a lot of things going on. So the album is coming out on September 25th. I have that new single, and I'll have a couple other singles coming up as well. And I have a lineup full of shows. So I'm singing for Canada Day in Fredericton. So that's a big, huge celebration. So that's going to be fun. I also do an Ella Fitzgerald tribute, and I'm looking forward to hitting the road on that in 2027. My whole winter is going to be busy doing that. And I have a bunch of shows in Halifax and some in Toronto. I'm actually coming to Folk Canada conference for showcasing. And so I have a lot of things going on when it comes to live performances. And all that information is on my website, which is www.deehernandezmusic.com and
.com.
.com.
Sounds cool. Yeah,
Sounds
Yeah.
much better that way.
way better. Way
It
better.
does, doesn't it?
Dot.
And so I'm really, really excited to do that. And I mean, we'll see what I put in my brain and what projects then.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
What message would you like to leave with our listeners?
Listen to my music.
Yeah,
No, I'm joking.
yeah,
There's
that's what
that.
she's here for. God.
You're supposed to say subscribe to the Dawg and Gus show. Like,
Well, we
Yeah, no.
didn't tell her to say that.
Well, of
don't-
course.
yeah,
You
don't
forgot
worry.
to send me the script.
Yeah, I'll send you
But
this. I'll send you the cash. Don't worry. Just like
That also, where the world feels extremely heavy right now, and it's not just here at home or there at home because I have two homes. It's everywhere, and I think we need to listen to more music and get inspired by those before us who made changes. So if we want to be if we want to see a change, we need to be the change, and we need to love each other a tiny little bit more.
beautiful statement. A great way to end
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Almost as good as saying subscribe to Dawg and Gus.
No, well, that's
Yeah. No, it was much
it's
better.
way more heartfelt.
Next
Much
time.
better.
Yeah. Dee, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Oh,
Thank you.
my goodness. Thank you so much for having me. I had
It
a
was
great
lovely.
time.
Lovely chatting with you. It was really nice.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Dawg and Gus, Dawg and Gus, Dawg and Gus.